Thank you, Mr. President, and members of the body. LB627 is a bill that is near and dear to my heart. It prohibits employment discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. First, I want to say to my friends, constituents, co-workers, and darling family, do not lose heart over the things that you may hear today. Many of us care about you and embrace you. The conservative members of the Omaha and Lincoln Chambers value and respect you and want you here to work. I apologize in advance for any hurtful or hateful things that you may hear today. The negative voices are holding on to a primitive fear that valuing and protecting you somehow delegitimizes them. Clearly, society is changing. Clearly, Nebraska will ultimately see the light. To my colleagues, if you feel compelled to stand up today and say, I like LGBTQ people, but please consider keeping your light off. Whatever follows is hurtful and founded upon a millennia of homophobic rhetoric. My mom used to say, if you don't have anything kind to say, then don't say anything. I would modify her advice and say, if you don't have anything kind to say about a vulnerable group of Nebraskans, please say nothing. Your vote will speak volumes. I am grateful to the many people who went to the hearing on LB627 and made their voices heard. I too am one who wants my voice heard because this issue is deeply personal to me, just as it is to our brothers and sisters in Nebraska and across the nation. My son Taylor said a rainbow would appear over the Capitol on the day of the hearing for this bill, and my heart melted when someone actually sent me a picture of a rainbow over our Capitol on that day. Well, this morning when I arose, there was a rainbow painted on the wall in my bedroom. I have hope, and I am fortified by the divine love surrounding this issue. To be sure, there are many practical reasons to advance LB 627, but the extension of love and kindness to a community that has been marginalized is every bit as important. Under LB 627, it would be unlawful employment practice for an employer, an employment agency, or a labor organization to discriminate against an individual on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. The Act applies to employers with 15 or more employees, employers with state contracts, the state of Nebraska, governmental agencies, and political subdivisions. Current law already prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, marital status, or national origin. So this is totally consistent with existing non-discrimination statutes. The bill also maintains the current exemption for religious entities under Nebraska Statute 48-1103 and the protections under the ministerial exception pursuant to the recent Supreme Court case, Hosanna-Tabor. This case protects Nebraskans against being fired simply for who they are and whom they love. How twisted and cruel to think that we can judge another's love. Yet this is still happening in Nebraska today, even after we've made much progress on acceptance of the LGBTQ community. I will remind this body that this same bill has been advanced to the floor of the legislature before, twice during my tenure, thanks to Senator Moorfield. Most recently in 2017, when the Judiciary Committee moved it to general file on a 6-1 vote. This bill made it to the floor in the 2015-16 biennium and became my personal priority bill. While I am enormously disheartened that this bill did not pass, I rejoice with others regarding the strides that the LGBTQ community has made since 2015-16, most particularly on marriage equality. When I prioritized the bill in 2015, it was prior to the Obergefell Supreme Court decision that brought us marriage equality. At that time, Senator Moorfield and I talked to so many of you, and you said, just let the Supreme Court decide, and once they've decided, then we can move forward and protect the LGBTQ community as far as workplace, once they're able to get married. Well, we're here again, and I am asking you to move forward and pass these protections. Today, 67% of Americans, 2/3 of the country, support marriage equality. Times have changed, thank goodness, and it's making Nebraska's lack of movement on employment discrimination look absurd and archaic. 21 states in the District of Columbia already offer employment protections for their LGBTQ citizens, including our neighboring states of Colorado and Iowa. These protections provide competitive economic advantages to states that offer them because they increase the ability of employers to recruit and retain top talent across the country. In turn, it helps states and communities recruit employers to bring local jobs. The Human Rights Campaign provides a list of companies that have non-discrimination policies. Prominent Nebraska businesses include the Union Pacific, ConAgra, TD Ameritrade, and Blue Cross Blue Shield, Mutual of Omaha, Werner Enterprises, First Data, and many others offer this specific protection. Nebraska has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country at 2.8%. While we want low unemployment rates, it can be a double-edged sword. We also want the business community to have trained workers so we can grow our economy and, yes, pay property taxes. We simply need more people to expand our workforce. The state chamber and local chambers across the state continually say the #1 business issue is workforce development. We had representatives of both the Lincoln and Omaha chambers and young professionals in the hearing, and they explained why 627 is crucial for our ability to recruit and retain both employers and employees. It is clear that we are stifling our state's economy by not providing the basic civil rights protections for all Nebraska employees. When we are competing with our neighboring states for talent, including Iowa and Colorado, which do provide these protections, we can't afford to be a state that tells our young people that they aren't welcome here. Whether they are born here, go to school here, or are just looking to make a life for themselves in our great state, we must have an open for business sign on our door. Omaha, in its quest to compete with other cities, enacted a similar non-discrimination ordinance in 2012. The ordinance is working. 7 years have passed and the city is thriving economically. Churches are growing and life is good in Omaha. Sincerely held religious beliefs have remained strong and unaffected. The irony is that those religious beliefs are protected pursuant to the exact law we are seeking to amend here today to provide additional protections for other Nebraskans. It is dumbfounding to me that those who fought to be protected from discrimination for their sincerely held religious beliefs now see nothing inconsistent in their battle to be able to legally discriminate against others. I hope we can do the same thing as Omaha at the state level, and that we will become true to our state motto adopted in 1867, equality before the law. That motto could act as a beacon to welcome the young people we need in our state and the businesses we hope to recruit to our communities. To our LGBTQ citizens and future citizens, let us proclaim, come, we want you here. Help us make Nebraska thrive. Colleagues, the time for adoption of this bill has arrived. I want to personally thank Senator Moorfield and Senator Chambers and many others for bringing these bills and waging these battles in years past. Finally, I would ask each of you to remember we are a gathering of souls here, each charged with loving our neighbors as ourselves, casting no stones, and fulfilling the law through loving others. We want all hands which can help us make Nebraska grow. We want all people able and willing to be part of our dwindling workforce. We want all hearts to make Nebraska strong, no matter the love for which those hearts beat. With that, I ask you to advance LB627 to select file. Thank you, Mr. President.